Dave, I said, trying to sound casual. Hypothetically, how hard is it to build, say, a 4-foot quarter pipe? Uh-oh, Dave replied instantly. What HOA rule are you trying to creatively misinterpret now? I explained the driveway situation and my brilliant wheeled solution. Dave was silent for a moment, then burst out laughing. A skate park? To spite your HOA? Mark, that is, inspired. Utterly certifiable, probably illegal, definitely going to end badly. But inspired. You need help with the build? Maybe, I admitted. My woodworking skills are rusty. Count me in, he said. I want front row seats for the Albright meltdown. It arrived on a Tuesday. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, bearing the Oakhaven Estates Homeowners Association logo like a heraldic crest signifying impending doom. I get a Pavlovian clench in my gut whenever I see that logo. Nothing good ever comes embossed. I slid it open with my thumb, already bracing myself. Was my lawn half an inch too high? Had my recycling bin lingered at the curb 3 minutes past the approved post-pickup window? The possibilities for petty infraction were endless in Oakhaven, but this one was special. Oakhaven Estates Homeowners Association, Property Standards Committee, Notice of Violation, Driveway Maintenance, Property, 38 Sycamore Lane, Richard Johnson, Violation, Non-compliance with Oakhaven. CC and Rs, Article 9, Section 3. Surface Integrity and Appearance Standards. Dear Mr. Johnson, a recent routine property inspection, read Miss Albright, on her morning power walk armed with a clipboard and a magnifying glass, revealed deficiencies concerning the driveway surface at the aforementioned property. Specifically, multiple hairline cracks were observed near the garage apron, along with several areas of discoloration consistent with fluid leakage, oil stains. Furthermore, the overall texture and appearance of the concrete surface are deemed substandard when compared to prevailing community aesthetics. These conditions violate Article 9, Section 3B, requiring all driveway surfaces to be maintained in good repair, free from significant defects, and presenting a clean, uniform appearance. Required action. You are hereby directed to remedy these deficiencies within 45 days. Acceptable remedies include professional crack repair and stain removal, subject to committee approval of methods and results, or complete driveway resurfacing or replacement to meet current community standards. Failure to comply will result in blah blah blah, daily fines, potential liens, eternal damnation. Sincerely, the Oakhaven Property Standards Committee. Eleanor Albright, Chairperson. I read it again. Hairline cracks, oil stains, substandard appearance, my driveway. I walked out the front door and stared down at the offending concrete slab. My driveway wasn't exactly showroom quality, I'll admit. It was 15 years old. It had borne witness to countless cars, bikes, leaky garbage bags, maybe the occasional dropped wrench during ill-advised DIY oil changes back in the day. So yeah, there were a few hairline cracks near the garage, the kind you only see if you're actually looking for them. And, okay, maybe 2 or 3 dark spots, each about the size of a quarter, where some oil might have dripped years ago. Substandard? Compared to what? The pristine landing strip at Area 51? It was a perfectly functional, utterly average suburban driveway. Amy, my wife, came out, alerted by my muttering. "What's wrong?" I handed her the letter. She read it, her eyebrows slowly migrating towards her hairline. "They're serious? Over this?" She crouched down, peering at a crack thinner than a pencil lead. "This is insane, Rick! It's normal wear and tear." "Not according to Chairperson Albright," I said grimly, kicking lightly at an oil spot. "Apparently our driveway is detracting from community aesthetic. probably offending her delicate sensibilities every time she power walks past. Miss Albright lived 4 doors down and considered herself the ultimate authority on all things curb appeal. Her own driveway looked like it was buffed nightly by Swiss elves. "So, what do they want us to do?" Amy asked, standing up. "Patch it?" "They suggest patching might not be good enough," I scoffed, quoting the letter. "They recommend resurfacing or replacement to ensure long-term compliance. Translation? Spend thousands of dollars because Eleanor doesn't like looking at a normal driveway." "Replace the whole thing? Over that?" Amy looked genuinely horrified. "How much would that even cost?" "Too much," I said darkly. "Way too much. But you know Albright. She won't let this go." I crumpled the letter in my fist. This wasn't about maintenance. This was about control, and maybe getting kickbacks from concrete companies. Just to be sure, just to have ammunition, I spent the next week getting quotes. 3 different concrete contractors came out, sucked their teeth, poked at the hairline cracks, and gave me estimates that made my blood run cold. Contractor #1, Sweaty Bob's Concrete. "Yeah, see these cracks? Hairline now, but they'll spread. And these oil stains? Deep. We can try patching them, grind them out maybe, put a sealant down. But no guarantees the HOA lady'll sign off. Might look patchy. Resurfacing the whole pad? Better look. You're talking, eh?" He scribbled on a pad. "Maybe $5,000. Contractor #2, Precision Paving Pros. Yes. Standard thermal cracking. Minor petrochemical discoloration." This guy used bigger words. "Patching is unsightly. Resurfacing is an option, provides uniformity. We use a high-grade polymer overlay. For this square footage, looking at around $6,500. Contractor #3. Just plain concrete Joe. "Look, buddy, it's a driveway. It's fine. You want me to hit it with a pressure washer, maybe fill the cracks with some epoxy sealant? Cost you maybe $500. But," he lowered his voice, "that Albright lady? She made my cousin Tony tear out a perfectly good sidewalk slab last year 'cause the color was half a shade off the approved pebble gray. She ain't gonna like a patch job. You want to make her happy? Replace the whole damn thing. $8,000. Minimum." $8,000 to fix cosmetic flaws on a perfectly functional driveway. Because Miss Albright didn't like it. My blood pressure spiked. This was highway robbery disguised as a neighborhood improvement. There had to be another way. I tried reason. I called the HOA management company, got put through to Miss Albright herself after navigating a phone tree designed by sadists. "Miss Albright, Rick Johnson here, 38 Sycamore Lane," I began politely, "regarding the driveway violation notice." "Ah, Mr. Johnson." Her voice was cool, clipped. "Have you scheduled the necessary repairs or replacement?" "Well, that's what I'm calling about," I said. "The quotes for replacement are astronomical. Given the minor nature of the cracks and stains, I was hoping a professional cleaning, crack sealing, and concrete sealant application would be sufficient to meet compliance." "Mr. Johnson," she sighed, as if explaining quantum physics to a toddler. "As the notice indicated, patching and sealing are often inadequate. They address the symptoms, not the underlying issue of surface degradation, and often result in a visually inconsistent appearance. The committee strongly recommends resurfacing or replacement to ensure adherence to community standards and maintain the aesthetic integrity Oak Haven is known for." "But which specific standard does a hairline crack violate?" I pressed. "Can you define significant defect or substandard appearance?" "It's a holistic assessment, Mr. Johnson," she replied evasively. "The committee determined your driveway does not currently meet the expected standard. Replacement ensures it will. So, you won't approve a repair and seal?" "We would need to see the results, but historically such repairs have not met the required aesthetic level," she said dismissively. Replacement is the recommended course. You have, I could hear paper rustling, 31 days remaining to comply before fines commence. Have a lovely day. Click. She hung up. Just like that. Spend thousands or face fines. No negotiation, no compromise. Just bureaucratic stonewalling based on subjective aesthetics. My hands were clenched into fists. Fine. She wanted the driveway surface dealt with. She wanted it brought up to a new standard. Okay, Albright. Challenge accepted. I spent that evening staring at my driveway, the offending cracks and stains seeming to mock me in the twilight. $8,000. Or daily fines. It felt like being mugged by committee. What could I do? Just cave? Spend a fortune I didn't really have just to appease Albright's sense of order? It felt wrong. Deeply wrong. I kicked at a crack near the garage. The concrete was solid. It had years of life left. It just wasn't pretty enough for them. My mind drifted back. Years ago, as a teenager, concrete wasn't something you worried about staining. It was something you used. Skateboarding. Hours spent trying to land kickflips, ollieing over curbs, the satisfying clack, clack, clack of wheels on pavement, the scrape of a failed grind. We didn't care about hairline cracks. We sought them out, incorporated them into lines. Concrete was a canvas, a playground. And then it hit me. An idea so audacious, so juvenile, so utterly inappropriate that it made me laugh out loud, right there on my lawn. What if the driveway wasn't a driveway anymore? What if, instead of spending thousands to make it pristine and boring, I spent money transforming it into something else? Something fun. Something loud. Something guaranteed to make Miss Albright's eye twitch uncontrollably. What if I turned my driveway into a miniature skate park? The idea took root and grew with alarming speed. Ramps, a grind rail, using the existing concrete slab as the base. It was perfect. It addressed the substandard surface issue by repurposing it entirely. I burst inside, finding Amy reading on the couch. Amy, forget resurfacing, forget replacement. I know what to do about the driveway. She looked up warily. Okay. What is it? Please tell me it doesn't involve challenging Miss Albright to a duel. Better, I grinned maniacally. We turn it into a skate park. Amy stared at me, blinked. A skate park? Like with ramps in our driveway? Exactly, a mini park. Quarter pipe at the back near the garage, maybe a small launch ramp in the middle, a grind rail along the edge. Rick, be serious. Where would we park the cars? In the garage, like civilized people, I countered. And think of it, it's creative, it's fun, it's recycling the existing concrete. And, I lowered my voice, imagine Albright's face when she sees kids doing ollies where her pristine surface is supposed to be. Amy looked torn between horror and laughter. You're insane! Completely insane! The noise, the liability, the HOA will explode. Let them! I declared, caught up in the vision. What rule forbids skate ramps? Are they permanent structures if they're bolted to the existing slab? It's a gray area. I immediately called Dave. Dave, I said, trying to sound casual. Hypothetically, how hard is it to build, say, a 4-foot quarter pipe? Oh, Dave replied instantly. What HOA rule are you trying to creatively misinterpret now? I explained the driveway situation and my brilliant, wheeled solution. Dave was silent for a moment, then burst out laughing. A skate park? To spite your HOA? Mark, that is inspired. Utterly certifiable, probably illegal, definitely going to end badly, but inspired. You need help with the build? Maybe, I admitted. My woodworking skills are rusty. Count me in, he said. I want front row seats for the Albright meltdown. As Dave and I started sketching out ramp placements and rail designs later that week, Another layer of absurdity occurred to me. A skate park needs, well, nothing, really. But wouldn't it be funnier if it had something utterly pointless? Something that directly mocked the HOA's judgmental nature? "Dave," I said slowly, tapping my pencil, "what if we added a judging booth?" Dave looked up from his drawing of the quarter pipe transition. "A judging booth for what?" "For judging," I said vaguely. "Style points, airtime, squirrel agility? Who cares? Just a little elevated platform at the top of the driveway. Couple of chairs. Maybe some laminated scorecards. Just because—" Dave stared at me, then slowly started to grin. "Oh, that's evil. Pointlessly, beautifully evil. So Albright can watch you judging people using the driveway she hates? Perfect." The plan was complete. Driveway skate park, featuring the Judge Judy Memorial Booth. Working title. It was happening. Finding materials wasn't too hard. Plywood 2x4S, steel coping for the ramp edges, a solid metal pipe for the grind rail. We decided against prefab ramps. Too expensive and less customizable. DIY felt more personal. And potentially funnier if slightly wonky. We spent a weekend measuring, cutting, and assembling in my garage. Much to Amy's consternation, sawdust got everywhere. Dave, it turned out, was surprisingly handy with a circular saw. We followed plans we found online, modifying them slightly for the driveway's slope. Building the curved transition for the quarter pipe was a nightmare involving steamed plywood and a lot of swearing, but we managed it. The grind rail required a trip to a local metal supplier. "Yeah, I need a 10-foot length of 2-inch diameter Schedule 40 steel pipe," I told the guy behind the counter, who looked like he wrestled bears for fun. "Grind rail?" he grunted, not even looking up. Yeah," I admitted. "Backyard?" "Driveway, actually." He finally looked up, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. "Driveway grind rail. Haven't heard that one before. All right. 10 feet, Schedule 40. The next weekend was installation. We didn't need to replace the concrete, just augment it. We used heavy-duty concrete anchors to bolt the bases of the ramps directly onto the existing driveway slab. The satisfying thunk of the anchor bolts going in felt like driving stakes into the heart of the HOA's aesthetic code. The grind rail was bolted onto short steel legs, also anchored securely. It sat low and menacing along one edge of the driveway. While Dave finished anchoring the ramps, I built the judging booth. It wasn't fancy, a simple 4x4 platform, maybe 3 feet off the ground, built with leftover lumber, accessed by a small ladder. I painted it a garish combination of yellow and black hazard stripes. I found 2 cheap plastic lawn chairs and printed out official-looking scorecards with categories like amplitude, style, commitment, and squirrel interference. It looked utterly, gloriously ridiculous perched at the top of the driveway by the garage doors. Neighbors watched the whole process with a mixture of confusion and morbid curiosity. Miss Albright was spotted peering through her blinds several times, her expression tightening with each new structure appearing on my driveway. She hadn't made a move yet, possibly waiting to see the final, horrifying picture. By Sunday evening, it was done. My driveway was no longer a driveway. It was a miniature, slightly ramshackle, but undeniably functional skate park. The quarter pipe stood at the garage end. The launch ramp sat midway. The grind rail gleamed along the side. The cracks and oil stains were still there, now part of the park's street character. And overlooking it all, the yellow and black striped judging booth stood proud. I found my son's old skateboard in the garage rafters, dusted it off. The wheels barely turned. Perfect. I leaned it against a ramp. It's Something, Amy said, surveying the scene from the front door, her voice carefully neutral. It's beautiful, I declared. It's a statement. It's possibly grounds for having us forcibly removed from the neighborhood, she countered. Details, I waved dismissively. Time for the opening ceremony. I wasn't sure how to open it. Should I cut a ribbon? Make a speech? Instead, I decided to lead by example. Despite not having stepped on a skateboard in 25 years, I grabbed the dusty old board, climbed onto the judging booth platform. It wobbled slightly, and prepared to drop in on my own creation. You're not serious, Amy said, covering her eyes. Witness me, I yelled, channeling my inner teenager. I put the board down, put one foot on it, took a deep breath, and immediately lost my balance, tumbling gracelessly off the platform onto the driveway with a painful thud. Okay, maybe not the most auspicious start. But the sound, the clatter of the board, my yelp, had an effect. A couple of teenagers who were walking down the street stopped, peered into my driveway, eyes widening. Whoa, is that a mini-ramp? One of them asked. Yeah, I said, picking myself up and rubbing my elbow. Just built it. Sick. Can we skate it? The other one asked, already pulling a board out of his backpack. Before I could even answer, word apparently spread via the mysterious teenage telepathy network. Within half an hour, there were 5 kids in my driveway, taking turns on the ramps, trying the rail. The sounds filled the air, the clack-clack of wheels on concrete, the rumble up the transition, the clink of trucks hitting the coping, the occasional triumphant yell or frustrated groan. It was louder than cars. It was more active than cars. It was everything Miss Albright despised. I climbed back into my judging booth, grabbed a scorecard and a pencil, and prepared to officiate. A kid landed a decent ollie off the launch ramp. Solid 6.5, I yelled, holding up the card. He grinned. This was working out better than I expected. The fun lasted about 45 minutes. Then Miss Albright arrived. She didn't walk. She power-stormed down the sidewalk, her face a mask of incandescent fury. She stopped at the end of my driveway, taking in the scene. The ramps, the rail, the booth, the half-dozen teenagers skating, me sitting in the judging booth holding a scorecard. For a moment she was speechless, simply vibrating with rage. Then she found her voice. Mr. Johnson! Her shriek cut through the clatter of skateboards. The kids stopped skating, startled. What is the meaning of this public menace? Afternoon, Eleanor, I called down cheerfully from my perch. Just enjoying some recreational activities on my private property. Keeping the kids off the streets, you know. These are unapproved structures, she yelled, pointing a trembling finger at the quarter pipe. This is a noise violation. This is attracting delinquents. You were ordered to repair your driveway, not turn it into Tony Hawk's nightmare. Technically, I countered, holding up a finger. The driveway surface remains largely unchanged, just augmented. These ramps? Merely temporary recreational equipment, perhaps? And the booth is just decorative? Decorative? She sputtered. It's an eyesore. And these hooligans, they could get hurt on your property. They seem to be having fun, I observed, as one kid landed a kickflip. Solid 7.0. I held up another scorecard. Miss Albright, predictably, whipped out her phone. I'm calling the police. Noise complaint, unsafe conditions, unpermitted construction. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up. Officers Davies and Rodriguez again. I swear they must have a dedicated parking spot reserved for calls to my block. They got out, surveyed the scene. Ramps, kids, judging booth. Furious Albright. Me trying to look innocent on my platform. Officer Davies let out a sigh that could power a small wind turbine. Okay, folks, he said wearily. Let's try this again. What seems to be the problem now? Albright launched into her litany. Noise, unapproved structures, safety hazard, trespassing delinquents, the kids looked offended, violation of driveway code. The officers listened patiently. They talked to the kids, who confirmed they were just skating and hadn't been explicitly invited, but saw the ramps. They looked at the ramps, the booth. They talked to me. "Sir," Officer Rodriguez said, looking up at my judging booth, "did you get permits for these structures? The ramps? The platform?" "They're just temporary recreational items, officer," I tried. "Like a basketball hoop or a very large playset." "They look pretty bolted down," Officer Davies observed dryly. "And that platform definitely looks like a structure. City code usually requires permits for anything over a certain height or square footage, temporary or not. And the noise from the skateboarding could violate the city noise ordinance, especially if it's persistent." He then turned to Albright. "Ma'am, while the structures might require permits and noise complaints can be filed, it's primarily an HOA civil matter regarding whether they're allowed by your rules. And as for trespassing, if he doesn't ask the kids to leave, they aren't technically trespassing." They ended up issuing me a warning about the noise and advising me strongly to check city permit requirements for the ramps and booth immediately. They told the kids that if the homeowner asked them to leave, they had to. They told Miss Albright to pursue the aesthetic and rule violations through HOA channels. They left, looking like they desperately needed coffee, or maybe a transfer. The immediate aftermath was tense. I asked the kids to take off for the day while things cooled down. Miss Albright stood glaring at the ramps for a full 5 minutes before storming back to her house, muttering about lawyers and emergency board meetings. The next day, I received 2 official notices, one from the HOA citing violations for unapproved structures, ramps and booth, noise nuisance, and failure to comply with the original driveway repair order, complete with hefty daily fines. The second was a notice to comply from the city, stating I needed to provide permits for the ramps and platform structure within 15 days, or face removal orders and fines. Apparently, Albright had been busy. Living with the skate park became complicated. Kids did keep showing up, drawn by the novelty. I tried to set skating hours to minimize noise complaints, but it was hard to enforce. The liability worried Amy constantly. What if someone breaks an arm, Rick? The HOA fines piled up. The city permit office confirmed that, yes, the ramps and especially the judging booth required structural permits I didn't have and likely wouldn't get for a driveway installation. So, did the skate park stay? No. Faced with city enforcement, potential lawsuits if someone got hurt, and escalating HOA fines, which, unlike the initial driveway ones, seemed legally solid regarding unpermitted structures, Operation Kickflip had to be dismantled. Getting rid of it was almost as much work as building it. Dave helped again, muttering, "I told you so," under his breath as we unbolted ramps and disassembled the judging booth. We hauled the wood and metal away, maybe sold the ramps cheap to one of the skater kids' parents. My driveway was back to being just a driveway, still cracked, still stained, and now with added anchor bolt holes and scars from the ramp removal. Miss Albright and the HOA sent a final notice demanding the original driveway repairs be completed within 10 days, or they would hire their own contractor and place a lien on my house. Defeated, exhausted, and significantly poorer after the skate park experiment, I finally caved. I called Concrete Joe back and paid the $8,000 to have the whole damn thing replaced. It looks fine now. Smooth, gray, uniform, perfectly compliant, utterly boring. Miss Albright hasn't complained since. She gives me smug little smiles sometimes, which makes my teeth grind. Was it worth it? The brief, glorious reign of the driveway skate park? The look on Albright's face? The sound of skateboard wheels where only car tires should be? Financially? Absolutely not. Legally? Definitely not. Sanity-wise? Questionable. But sitting here now, looking at my perfectly boring HOA-approved driveway, I sometimes miss the chaos. I miss the clatter of wheels. I miss sitting in that ridiculous judging booth. I lost the battle, paid dearly for it, but for one brief, shining, utterly insane moment, I took their petty code violation and turned it into something loud, rebellious, and undeniably awesome. And sometimes, even when you wipe out hard, landing that one trick makes the whole damn thing worthwhile, even if it means eating ramen for 6 months to pay for the concrete.